Domestic violence is certainly a societal issue that needs to be addressed. It's a behavior that tends to be passed on through generations. Um, when you go into the homes where this violence is happening, you ask the suspect or the victim if they ever saw this behavior growing up, if there was ever violence in the home. The majority of them are gonna tell you yes, that they saw this behavior growing up. So children who witness domestic violence have been observed to struggle academically, socially, behaviorally, and emotionally. This leads to teenagers and eventually adults who have not developed at the level that they could have had not, if not for that situation. There's nothing fundamentally wrong with these people, but the situation has made it difficult because of the traumatic nature of their home environment for them to develop alongside their peers. This is not only a humanitarian issue for the state, but also an economic issue because this interrupts the flow of productive members of society. It's a little bit callous way to view it, but that's the reality of it. This interrupts the development of people. Um, and children present in these family environments also have a greater likelihood of creating or tolerating these environments in their adulthood. This creates a vicious cycle of violence and tension in the home. In the home, the family is such a core societal measure of control of people in a good way, and violence in the home interrupts that. One way the legislators in Indiana have attempted to address this cycle is through the upgrading of a felony, of a domestic battery charge to a felony when there are children present. So when there's a child under the age of 16 that could have seen or heard the domestic battery happen, what would have been a misdemeanor charge is upgraded to a felony charge. This acts as a deterrent as well as simply a higher form of punishment for the act because the state has decided that it is serious enough that it is deserving of a felony charge because you are affecting these kids in a serious enough manner because of that behavior, because of seeing that in the home. That's serious enough to what they would have considered a misdemeanor. Um, it's serious enough to upgrade that to a felony. It's enough of an aggravating circumstance. And alongside increases in prosecution, increases in arrest, in the arrestable offense, they've increased prosecution and sentencing as well. Um, and that backs up the threat of the arrest. That's the only way there's actually any deterrence because there's actually something behind it. You're actually going to get charged with a felony if there's a child present. The charges aren't going to be plead out or dropped because it's a serious issue that needs dealt with. The narrative surrounding domestic violence has changed in the last 10 to 20 years in law enforcement. It used to be viewed as a family issue. It used to be viewed as something that they can take care of on their own, and that has largely changed through research and just the attitude of society. It's definitely been changed to being viewed as a certainly criminal act. I know in the guys that I know and on our department, it's definitely viewed as a criminal act. It's very serious, and we are grateful that the state has given us tools to deal with this as seriously as possible. Um, it's difficult to tell how much the rate of this activity has changed in the last 10 to 20 years because of reporting issues with departments, but I can certainly tell you that the attitude towards the behavior has changed, and I think that's a large step to reducing the behavior in the home, and breaking that vicious cycle of when kids see this as children, they exhibit that as adults. So I think the sentencing differences, the arrest differences, um, in prosecuting, um, I think that definitely breaks the cycle of violence as a child, violence as an adult. I think that definitely is a way that the state has stepped in to help break the vicious cycle of violence in the home.